Hello everyone, wherever you are. Welcome again to this lesson. Tipitilize from where we had stopped, and you're still with me, your instructor Zaitwa Jikwatula. And in today's lesson, mostly, I just want us to appreciate what is the effect tikakawena witagwisa ntchito ma electrodes osiyana, right? Because in the previous lessons timaona kwena kuti we were mostly using the graphite loads, of which we know kwena kuti ma graphite loads they were just cool. They weren't even taking part in any chemical reaction and stuff, right? So this is just a picture kapena the figure omwe ufuna kusiyanisa kwena kuti what happens ikakhala kwena kuti tili ma electrodes osiyana. So we're just gonna go back to my inert electrodes, which is yomwe tigwiritsa ntchito to differentiate or to compare and contrast ndi ma electrodes amene oyena kuti they're reactive in a way. So in this case we have our solution. Our solution tili ndi copper sulfate, which is in aqueous form yomwe yazungunulidwa mu madzi, right? And then tili ndi ma electrodes atu oti ali inert, meaning kwena kuti these ones, there is a definition here. Inert electrodes are those electrodes which allow passage of electric current into and out of the electrolyte, alright? Like zikungolola kunena kuti ma electric current aja azilowa mu this electrolyte, okay? So atakulowa bwino komanso azitha kutuluka that electric current komano akwena kuti without themselves getting decomposed. Iwo asamanyenyeka, asamapangidwe split, asamapangidwe asamapange part in that chemical reaction. So the example ndiomwe tinayo ya carbon graphite titakhala so inga kind ma platinum. So platinum, carbon graphite, this is the electrodes omwe tingathe kukhala now. So if we want to have that sort of setup, so ngiza kuti takhala ndi zinthu zimene the graphite komanso chani carbon the graphite, carbon graphite komanso the platinum. So I think apapa siti chedwapo kwambiri because we already know the principle yomwe tinayo mbuyo, because that's pretty much yomwe tinazonapo kale komano mwina tingopanga focus kwambiri kakawena kuti let's say we have the electrode which is taking part in that thing, which is also getting decomposed in the end. So since this one we're already familiar with that, okay, the setup is the same, the bulb, the cell, and we need the switch, we need the electrodes, but in this case the electrodes that we are using ndiwonena kuti ndi ma carbon electrodes kadi tagwisa ntchito platinum, because all of them won't take part in any chemical reaction, so they will stay the same the way they are, okay? And the color color yatu ya copper sulfate in this case ndi blue, right? The blue. So what will be happening at the cathode? You know, same thing. We need to look at the reactivity series. Kodi copper ali more reactive kusiyana ndi hydrogen, and because of that ndi pamene tapeza kuena kuti amene apangidwe favored kwambiri ndi copper, because of the same reactivity thing. Monga timaona nkhaniso ya sodium and all that. So there is just a slight difference, because in this case it is the copper, okay? So mwanjira copper is less reactive as compared to the hydrogen, and because of that it will be the copper that will be forming at the cathode. So this is just the equation that you're gonna have, like, you know, having two, okay? So you're having two copper ions, okay? Amene akupanga receive 4, okay? Amene akupanga receive 4 electrons to that cathode, right? Cholinga tikandi two molecules of copper. Komano copper wake mwanjira ina ndi chitsulo. That's why it is in form of a solid, and we have two, and that's why we are balancing it in that way, okay? Okay, so that's pretty much what we have. And the copper ndamene azipeza kuti akupanga coat kujani azikhala kupanga cover that carbon electrode, right? Kaitoka platinum, whatever it is. And kwinaku the same story omwe tinaiona so kwina kuja in terms of the concentration and stuff, and amene waoneka kuti wawina or preferentially the one that has been decomposed is water, and for that reason we're having 4 molecules of hydroxyl amene akupanga lose 4 electrons ku anode, and akubweretsa gas komanso chani akutibweresera oxygen gas komanso akutibwereseranso chani hydrogen gas. Okay, so that's pretty much what we have ku nkhani ya awawa. So tikatiwonesese zili ngati kuyena kuti the copper sulfate is blue in color, right? And kusonyeza kuti ngati tikuchosapo copper uja color ija sitingaipange so expect kuyena kuti ikhale so blue. That's why tikupeza kuyena kuti apopo the color ikupanga fade. Why? Because we're extracting the copper out of it, and at the same time even this other part ku anode we are forming the oxygen, so this other part yajani hydrogen gas. And remember, all the ions that are there tindi copper to the positive side tiso ndi hydrogen kwina kuja imene tikupeza kwena kuti yes there is the hydroxyl komanso tindi the sulfate part, right? The sulfate part. So the one that we've favored in this chemical reaction in terms of the concentration kumbali inai and the hydroxide, okay? And then we are forming the gas, okay? So the color ikupanga fade because we are using that electrolyte, right? And that electrolyte is being consumed little by little as time goes. That's pretty much what we have pankani ya jan electrodes are mainly inert, because that's what we've been seeing until say. Now, given that we have another scenario whereby we have the electrodes, but then in this case the electrodes ndoena kuti akumapangidwa so ngakhale decomposed, akumapezeka kuti akumanyenyeka, akumapangidwa split. In other words, they are taking part in the chemical reaction as compared to the inert one, like the platinum and also the carbon graphite, as we've already said, right? So we're having the setup as it is, and we're having the same contents, the copper 2 sulfate, right? Komano ma electrodes amene tugwisa ntchito ndi majani ndi ma copper. Okay, so we are having the electrodes komano in form of copper. So the solution akukhala ndi copper, like it copper sulfate, right? And even the electrode is made of copper. Okay, and mwina likatiwonesese mwina kungopanga ujani titakuona kwena kuti copper akulandiridwa mbali yawo. That's why it is having that sort of color, and kwina kuti ndi gas. That's why there is bubbling. So kwinaku in this setup mukaonesesa bwino, it's like one part ikuoneka kuti ndi yaying'ono to the anode side, the other part to the cathode side ikuoneka kuti ndi yachani ndi yayikulu. What really happens? The thing is, we have the copper which is there in the electrolyte in the solution, right? And if you were to look at copper, the difference between copper and the hydrogen, so in the previous example, or in the past example, when I would copper terminally less reactive, and for that reason when I would run wapita ku cathode and wakalandira ma electrons, and we are forming copper as a metal. Okay, that's pretty much what is happening. Manjira ina, from this solution we are having the copper amene akupita kujani uku akupanga form, and at the same time at the anode side what is happening is we are having this chitsulo. As you can see, we're having the copper which is in form of chitsulo ngati kuti ndi electrode, right? That chitsulo akupanga dissolve, and akakhakuti wapanga akakhakwena kuti wanyenyeka okay, akakhala kuti wanyenyeka yemweyo akuluza machani ma electrons, okay, akuluza ma electrons kapena kuti chitsulo chija chikuluza ma electrons, and these electrons are the ones amene akupitirira kumakwera bwinobwino kufuna kupanga complete chani this whole thing paka izafike. So ma electrons adzalandiridwe ku cathode ndi copper amene akuchoka kuchani mu that electrolyte, okay. So pa anode tikungoona kunyenyeka kwa chitsulo, komano as that chitsulo chikunyenyeka ikupanga lose ma electrons, 2 electrons, and those electrons akuyenda, and for that reason if this copper has lost 2 electrons we are ending up with chani copper, okay, we are ending up with copper komano ion. Mwanjira ina it's different from the way it was mwamba muja, cause mwamba muja tinapeza kuena kuti copper azipeza kuena kuti like the copper 2 sulfate azipanga fade chifukwa chani we were using the copper, okay. Koma papa zingakuena kuti copper uja from the cathode that thing akumachoka mu solution and akumapita ku cathode and akupanga build that copper chani chitsulo, komano that copper ion amene akumachoka mu solution akupangidwabe replaced ndi chani ndi copper from the electrode. For example, in this case from the anode we have this one amene wanyenyeka ndikukhala ndi chani copper 2+ in aqueous form. So zingakwena kuti ku cathode akumachosa mu electrolyte, komano anode akumabwezeresa makopa aja by losing ma electrons aja. That's why we are forming chifukwa papa we can't expect it to fade chifukwa kuti zingakwena kuti the rate at which the copper ions are being used is the same rate at which those ions are being replaced from the decomposition ya the anode, okay. So nchifake tukubwera ndi point yona kuti the color of the solution does not fade at all chifukwa cha reason imene, and titakuona kwena kuti mbali ina ikuchepa chifukwa cha chomwecho, and kwina ikukula fena kuti it's just receiving ma electrons, and ma copper ions akapita ku cathode akupanga receive ma electrons akupanga form chitsulo. That's why mbali ina kuli copper woti ndi wankulu, okay. So thank you so much guys for your attention, and in the next lesson tikhati kuona kwena kuti kodi ma equations titakuwalemba motani, okay, tialemba motani mu given kwena kuti we have different electrodes, like in the case when we have that electrode which is also taking part in the chemical reaction as compared to the other one, right? So let's be attentive in the next class as well. Thank you.